I'm that bull in the hood. New lamb truck got the bull in the hood. Black and red looking like the bulls hit the hood. 23s, oh, they got the bull sitting good. This game 6, this can't miss. Shooting my shot, this ain't fish.
Welcome back, Bulls Nation, to another episode of Nothing But Bull. I'm your host, Derek. As always, I'm here with my main man, Justin. Justin, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just finished eating some chicken that was defrosting in the refrigerator for a long time. I'm pretty sure that you could, chicken will stay frozen for a couple of days, right? Because from what I'm hearing, the chicken has been down for 3 or 4 days. So I'm just making sure that I'm gonna be fine. So if you see me have to get up and rush to the bathroom right away, it was the chicken. The chicken did me in.
And of course, Melissa is here. How are you, Melissa?
What's up, gang? I mean, I don't really know how to follow that, but I hope you don't have to get up to use the washroom, Justin. I wish you well.
Everybody is wearing Bulls attire. I am wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt. And the reason being because I probably will not be celebrating any more wins anytime soon with what's going on with my team. So I'm just repping it for right now. That's why I'm not wearing any Bulls red, in case anybody was wondering.
I think most people will wonder. But nothing
So,
podcast.
if anything happens to Justin, it's either the Cowboys stressed him out or it was the chicken. It's one of the two.
No, it's not one of the two because they've already stressed me out. Everything that has happened surrounding the beginning of this year has already pretty much sent me into a tailspin. But the chicken is just an added bonus for me. So that's just going to give me one more reason to possibly vomit. So there you go.
Well, we're hoping that does not get caught on camera. I think we would lose a few viewers off that.
Yeah, it's a little too personal for.
Did I share too much? I always think that this is a safe space for me to say things, and that I can feel comfortable. But if this is not the safe space anymore for me,
you know what, Justin? Do what you do.
Do what I do.
If you want to talk about your bodily functions once every week, I mean, that's totally cool. It's a safe space here. I mean, it's either your armpit's wet or you gotta go use the washroom, get food poisoning, cowboy poisoning. I mean, yeah, just share away.
It is.
Does everybody call it a washroom? Because I was saying, talking to my students a couple of days ago, and I referred to it as the restroom, and they were like, "What's a restroom?" And I said, "Well, you have a bathroom, but we don't have an actual bath inside of that little space that we have, so we refer to it as a restroom." But they weren't quite understanding. But now you called it a washroom, and I haven't heard anybody refer to it as a washroom in a long time, which is funny because I have to always constantly tell my students to make sure that you wash your hands. So maybe if I put washroom on there, they'll actually start doing it.
You should try it. Let us know next episode what happens.
Episode if it works out.
Yeah, if they come back with washed, clean hands. I don't know how you're going to inspect that piece, but let us know how it works out.
No, I had one student today that was calling out a student saying you didn't flush the toilet and you didn't wash your hands. I don't know why she felt the need to share that for the whole entire class, other than the fact that she probably just wanted the attention. But yeah, was not cool. Not cool to do at all. Share that with a bunch of third graders.
So are you saying that she asked them a note instead, and
well,
then you confiscate the note because you're like, why are you passing notes in my class?
I told her you can discreetly, and I did tell her what discreetly meant, but I told her you can discreetly let me know what is going on, but there's no reason for you to be announcing that, especially in the middle of my math lesson. I just point blank asked her, was there like a math problem inside of the rest of this statement that you decided to share with the class? Because other than that, like the statement is just kind of pointless. Like, if she went back and didn't wash her hands, she's, as gross as this sounds, she's touching her stuff. So it's not necessarily relevant to the content that I was discussing at the moment. I get very annoyed at that if somebody just busts out with something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But you all might be mad at me because I'm talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do.
I had a big smile on my face, and you might not have seen that. Oh, the irony there.
There is irony there. I feel like there's a lot of irony in our show. It always comes back full circle.
Always.
It's like, it never really starts off doing anything with the Bulls.
True.
It's not unusual until we bring our guest in.
But nobody has said anything negative about the way our show has been starting. So I'm hoping that this is not rubbing people the wrong way.
No, I think they like it. We all love the Justin stories. That's like always a highlight for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I told my coworkers like years ago that we should start documenting what is going on in the classroom, because no one would believe it. Like they would think that we were just making up these stories. And these are real life stories that are happening, but that no one really wants to like know that it's actually happening inside of a classroom. I told them for years. And I actually started to write out a show piece, I wanted to take it someplace and actually like try to market this idea to somebody. And, the years went by and it kind of just went to the wayside. And what do you have that came out like a year ago? Abbott Elementary. And Abbott Elementary is like a toned down version of what actually happens inside of an inner city school. But it's actually pretty right on. A lot of the stories that they use. So it's funny. Art imitates life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of something imitating life, was it about a month ago, and the Chicago Reporter asked about Giannis if he would play in Chicago, and he says, yeah, maybe one day. And now we find out that the Bulls have signed Kostas Antetokounmpo to the training camp deal that he can compete for a two-way spot, maybe as a bargaining chip to eventually lure Giannis over here.
And so
When you first said that, I thought you said Udonis. And I was like, why would we want Udonis Haslem? Like, the Heat shouldn't want Udonis Haslem. And then I figured it out as you kept on with the story. Yeah, I mean, hey, do whatever you have to do to land a superstar. Like, there's a bunch of people on the roster who are like, why is that guy even signed to a contract? So if we can offer up a slot to someone that could lead us to Giannis, I'm all for that. Build the inroads. Do whatever you have to do. Network. That's what you're always talking about, Melissa. Just network with people. Get out there. So I'm all for that.
So you guys think that he has a good chance of getting that two-way deal? There's a couple other guys signed to the training camp that are competing for that spot.
Who are the other guys?
Let me see.
I'm not coming up in my
I know
mind.
Malcolm Hill is one of them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's Malcolm Hill, Carlik Jones, and then Kostas are the only three that were mentioned by Casey Johnson.
Carlik Jones had one really good game in summer league.
Yeah.
One.
That one really good game. Period.
I mean, I remember most of the time thinking, who is this guy? He's
Yeah.
terrible.
that was the only time I knew I found out who he was that one game. They're like, who's this? He's kind of decent. And then that was it.
Yeah, I really have not paid attention to Giannis's brother. Has anybody seen any game film on him before?
I believe he won. Yeah, he won a championship with the Lakers when LeBron and AD won in the bubble. So he has a bubble ring.
As a bubble ring?
He has a bubble.
Yeah, that's not making me feel good about anything so far.
Like I personally not watched any film on him yet. He's got to be better than Malcolm Hill.
Yeah, true. And he knows how his brother plays. But other than that, yeah, I haven't really watched any film on him either.
You got any measurements on him? Like, is he like a forward?
He's got to be a forward.
Would he be playing like the shooting forward or power forward?
I'm trying to bring him up right now. He's 6'10", so
he's 6'10"?
He's definitely like a power forward.
24 he's only 24 too.
Yeah, he has potential.
Would it mean that we'd have to give up on Tony Bradley?
I mean, this doesn't affect Tony Bradley, but I think we've already given him Tony Bradley.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
No, we're not holding out hope still for Tony Bradley.
Were we ever holding out hope for Tony Bradley?
Were you, Justin?
Well, given the amount of, or I should say, the lack of depth that we had at the center position, I was hoping that he would have at least been better than Tristan Thompson, but that did not prove to be the case. So,
and Tristan was not good either. So that kind of says a lot. That we have no hope for. Have no hope for Bradley.
That was an interesting stint with Tristan. He had a lot of bark.
Interesting.
Tristan?
With Tristan, yeah, I appreciate that leadership aspect that he was trying to take on, but we definitely need more action. Would have been nice, but we didn't really expect it.
Yeah, I don't know how to quantify like leadership and its effect if you're not really out there and or producing.
Right.
Like, yeah. I thought that's what we would have been getting from Tristan when he came on the team, but it was lacking, for lack of a better term.
It was just one of those right message, wrong messenger type situations.
Exactly. Like there's only so much that you can be doing from the bench or just picking up bad fouls or being out of position, grabbing rebounds or not finishing at the basket or not having an ability to make a basket or turning the ball over or getting bullied inside by other bigger, more capable big men. Or, well, I'll just stop there.
I think he was more concerned with not getting caught by the Kardashians again with the women he picked up after the game.
Maybe these women want to come forward with their Tristan Thomas stories.
Actually, I have to applaud him on that. He seemed very comfortable in being caught with different women. So, with the world pretty much against you and still being able to take on that role, that does require a certain amount of strength in the wrong direction, but it still was pretty impressive.
Good old Tristan Thompson.
Hopefully, Andre Drummond actually works out in the role that Tristan was supposed to.
I don't think.
I'm hopeful.
I don't think we should just be hopeful. Andre Drummond has a tremendous amount of skill, finishing, running the floor, rebounding. You know, he does that exceptionally well. But yeah, I feel that I am a lot more hopeful than other people in that matter, because I think people were looking at his days in Detroit and just assuming that that is all he really had to offer. But I think on a rising team, he can have a tremendous impact. And I think especially on this Bulls team, you know, when Vooch goes to the floor or comes off the floor, and you know, as we talked in our last podcast with Dave, if they decide on these back-to-backs that, you know, they're just going to leave Vooch out and maybe just have Drummond start a couple of games, I think that he can have a really big role in this team.
Just his impact alone with crashing boards too. I mean, as we also talked about, surprisingly, he does lead in career rebound rate. That's something that people were overlooking, especially when he came up with that quote that was going viral about him going down as the best rebounder of all time. He's like 24.66 of the total rebounds available. So, and then Dennis Rodman was at 23.44%. So either way, I mean, there's going to be huge impact. We obviously had a huge opportunity with rebounds, no second chance opportunities and so forth. So I'm more than hopeful for this with Dre. That'd be good for us.
Yeah, very much.
I mean, he was an all-star, so it's not a guy like Tristan Thompson who just looked better than what he was because he played with LeBron.
And the fact that you're famous for so many other things outside of the court, like we know him for other things, not so much his impact on the court. So there's that. But
yeah, I mean, hey,
an upgrade.
Only way to go is up, right?
That's right. So how was your weekend? Like, how were your weekends? What did you guys do?
Drink.
You need to get sponsored.
Hennessy, if you're listening.
At this point.
Yeah, I've been seeing in a lot of your pictures, like you next to some kind of drink. Like there was some kind of, you were at a restaurant and I don't know what was coming out of your drink. It looked like some type of leaf or something that was coming out of your drink.
It's probably a lime.
No, it wasn't a lime. It was like, I think green leaves. I was pretty sure that's what I saw.
Maybe you're talking about my photo.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking
okay. I thought you were talking about me.
Oh, no.
I had a mojito that had like basil leaves in it.
Oh, basil leaves. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a different color though. I've never seen a mojito look that color.
It was a berry mojito. So that's probably why. But
you know, the funny thing is that being in Miami as long as I was, I've never had a mojito before.
They're pretty good.
So I hear.
That is surprising. Next up for you. What do you normally drink?
Usually I would have like a Corona or Long Island iced tea. But I don't usually go to restaurants to have that. The first time I had a Long Island, I was with some friends. And they made the most amazing Long Island iced teas. And they said that the trick was the amount of ice content that you put in it to kind of absorb like the flavors and the alcohol. And then I would go to other places and I'm like, this is not a Long Island. Like this, what are you doing? But yeah, I had really close friends back in Fort Lauderdale. and we would go over to their place to eat many occasions, and it was always, "You want a Long Island iced tea? You want a Long Island iced tea?" And I'm like, "Why are you even asking me that? Like, do you ever have to wonder if I want a Long Island iced tea?" So yeah, so I don't typically get that drink when I go to places because I've been spoiled.
My drink of choice is our old fashions. That's if I have to drink. And I feel like I've been drinking a lot more this week than probably the last like 4 years of my life combined. But old fashions are where it's at. I just had a smoked old fashioned last week. It was really good. Have you guys ever had one?
No, I
Um,
was still caught up on the if I have to drink, like when do you have
You
to
don't
drink?
have to drink, but in social settings, of course, you never have to. But it's just one of those things. Peer pressure, peer pressure be pressuring, and that's where that verbiage comes from. Of course, you don't have to, but if you're
Okay.
like in a social setting and everybody else is drinking, it's just kind of awkward for me to just drink water or something. But we can always pretend have a mocktail, like a kitty cocktail, I guess.
Well, on that note, our guest is in the waiting room now. So go ahead and admit him. And we are being joined by Chicago Bulls bench mob legend, Ronnie Brewer Jr. Ronnie, how's it going?
It's good. How are y'all doing?
We're
good.
doing
Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good deal, man. I'm sorry I was a little late. I got stuck in a little bit of traffic heading home, so I apologize for that.
No problem. Just thank you for coming on.
No doubt. Yeah, doing all right though.
Yeah, we're great. We're happy you're here. We're really excited. I mean,
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Benchmark
for having me.
OG right here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
well,
So-
Ronnie. I was gonna ask you because the first thing that I looked up on you, because I was just trying to see like what have you been up to recently, and I saw that you were at a middle school, and I couldn't help but think that you were going to a place that many times I try to avoid, which is school, which is kind of hard to to do in the actual profession that I do, because I'm a teacher.
Mhm.
But what was going on there? Like, what brought you to that particular middle school?
Okay, so like my current role, I'm the recruiting coordinator at the University of Arkansas, but I'm over player development and community relations as well. And so part of my job is to try to get our guys acclimated in the community here in different community service events. So different people will reach out to me, and due to like people's schedules, I will try to place guys in different positions. Some events are better than others where our whole team can go, or sometimes on this particular event, we had like flu shots, we had photo shoots, we had study hall, all this stuff, and so we only had 2 guys available. So I had 2 guys, and then 2 of our grad assistants go up there and speak to Elmwood Middle School, which is in Rogers, Arkansas, about soft skills. Yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, saying your name clearly where they can hear you, looking somebody in the eye, be able to shake hands, being respectful to others, respectful to your classmates, and just encourage them to try to motivate not only themselves, their classmates, and as well as the teachers, and vice versa.
Well, that's good. Like to be able to have such a positive influence on young people like that is tremendous. Let me ask you, with you helping these guys to go back into the community, I'm sure it has an impact on the people that you all visit with. But
Mhm.
what impact does it have on your players as they are engaging in these activities?
Yeah, and the reason why this is really close to me is because I grew up in Northwest Arkansas. I grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I went kindergarten through college here before I got drafted to Utah Jazz, and I just remember, how motivated I was and how I was like how high I set my goals, just because, like, you know, I wanted to be a raceback. I thought that was the mountaintop because, you know, around here, Arkansas basketball is like, we don't have any pro teams. It wasn't until like I got my first TV and I saw like we had back then we had WGN that showed on the local TV here, and you know, became a huge Scottie Pippen fan because they do the starting lineup and they take from, you know, from Central Arkansas. So I was like, oh wow, people from Arkansas can make it out of Arkansas. And so just allowing our players to see the impact they have on others and how they're a role model and how they influence others, just as far as, you know, it could be something as simple as like how they wear a headband or a wristband or the number that they wear, in that at all times they're a role model. Yeah, to me, I think it's a very humbling thing to our student athletes, because they see how, you know, how many people look up to them, and every decision they make, you know, might inspire somebody positively or negatively on their behalf. And so to me, I think they take ownership of being a role model even at a young age. You know, a lot of the guys when they came here, they're like, hey, you know, 17 or 18, I can't be a role model. I was like, well, that's not correct, because, you know, there's youth that's underneath you guys that look up to everything you do. And so it makes a huge impact to our student athletes because, you know, for example, we have 3 McDonald's All-Americans on our roster who are freshmen, and then 3 guys that were also in the top 100. So the guys in the top 100 think that, oh, well, these guys are the role models. The guys that are McDonald's All-Americans, not to only know that, you know, from our basketball camps and our community service, stuff like that, that everybody on our team are heroes. And so, you know, being able to take, you know, it was Joseph Pinion and Lawson Blake with us to this school, how crazy the students were about those guys. And like every single person on our team means a lot to somebody, because, you know, somebody might look up to and want one day be like them. And so it means a lot to our players.
Speaking on your background with Arkansas, I mean, you do have a lot of parallels too, just in basketball in general, with like your father and your mother. You know, they played ball. Do you want to speak on that and what it meant to you, and what was it like growing up in a basketball household?
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. So our household was very competitive. Everybody played basketball. You know, my sister was an All-American in track at Arkansas, and she coached at Kansas men's and women's track. But you know, every time like I you know, basketball gets brought up, you know, everybody's like, "Oh man, you're following your dad's footsteps. He's so good." And you know, a lot of people don't really know that my mom played basketball as well. I mean, obviously, she didn't get drafted in the WNBA because it wasn't there, but and my mom was a huge influence in my life. You know, she's one of my best friends, biggest supporters. You know, she'll always try to, or she used to always try to tell me pointers about basketball. It's like, dude, like you don't know basketball, and I just say that too. I know it bothers her because everybody assumes all you get everything from your dad because your dad was a good basketball player. He's an All-American. He went to the NBA. But so you know, it's all good and fun. But you know, it was really cool growing up because like my parents really allowed us just to be kids. It was never like, hey, you need to go to practice or you need to go work out or you need to go. It's like, you know, if you want to go do that, hey, we're going to support you regardless. If you just want to be in choir, we're going to support you and go to every concert. If you want to be in band, we're going to go out there. If my sisters wanted to be cheerleaders, they would have supported them in that endeavor. So, you know, one thing that was kind of the common denominator is we still supported the University of Arkansas, but like my journey when it was coming to like recruiting was really funny because everybody was like, oh man, your mom and dad are pushing you to Arkansas. And it was the exact opposite. My parents were like, man, we want you to do you and be as comfortable as possible. So they allowed me to go through the whole full process, take all my visits, be very open-minded. They never said, hey, what do you think about Arkansas, or push you towards it. And it's just when the time came, that was the best decision for me to go there. You know, it was just great growing up. It was very competitive. Like a lot of people don't know my story. Like I was really small. Like I say small, like smaller than I am now and smaller than my siblings. I didn't grow till I was like in 10th grade. So I was like 5'8", 5'8.5" when I graduated 9th grade. Because here back then it was like 7th, 8th, and 9th was junior high, and then 10th, 11th, 12th was high school. So that summer, you know, I was maybe teeter-totter and getting about 5'10" at the end of the summer. So I was like, okay, I hit a growth spurt. I'm almost 6 foot. In August, we started school in August. We go school shopping. I buy all these clothes that I'm 5'10". I'm like, okay. Went to the mall, got all this cool stuff. And September 1, I went from 5'10" to 6'7". And so within like 2 or 3, 4 weeks, I just kept on growing. And literally, I was like a baby giraffe. I didn't know what I was doing. I went from being a point guard and the smallest guy really on the court to the tallest guy on our team. And so they're like, well, you're the tallest guy on the team. You have to play center. And so it was just a weird experience. But to piggyback off that, all my siblings were bigger than me until September of my sophomore year. And so I got bigger, and then I got a little bit stronger. We got a little more coordinated. And then I was like, oh, it's on now. So I wanted to play my dad in one-on-one. I wanted to play my brothers and sisters in one-on-one, because my whole life they've been beating up on me and put me in the post and never winning games. And I always have to be the last person to eat the food because everybody's pushing me out the way. And it was just bad. And so, I kind of became, I wouldn't say necessarily the bully, but I was the head of the household because I was bigger than everybody.
All that.
So before,
sorry.
I was just going to say, before the growth spurt, like, had you beaten your mom or dad in a game of one-on-one yet, or was it?
I could beat my mom. I couldn't beat any of my sisters or any of my brothers or my dad. Like my sister's 5'10", so and she could grab the rim. And she's really, really good at Tulsa. She played D1 basketball. My other sister was All-American in track, and so she's 5'10", and so like we were looking eye to eye our whole, like, even when I hit my growth spurt and I got to 5'10", I was just looking eye to eye to them, and they were stronger, quicker, faster, more athletic than I was. It wasn't until I got 6'7" where I was like, oh yeah, I got to get my payback because I've been taking L's in one-on-ones all my life. So then after a while, my dad was like, yeah, you got it. Like, we're not going to play one-on-one no more. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of arrived now.
So you had an I'm the captain now moment?
Kind of, yeah. Because my mom, she kind of felt it too, because as I was going through puberty. So I was eating a lot. Felt like I had a tapeworm. I was eating everything, wasn't putting on any weight. It's like, Mom, I'm hungry. So our and my family's like lactose intolerant, but I'm not. So like we get a gallon, jug of milk, and my mom would cook with it, but like that would only last like a little bit, because whenever my mom is not looking, I'm making bowls of cereal, and I'm getting cookies and milk, and I'm eating like peanut butter and jelly with like milk, and she's like, dude, where's the milk at? Knowing nobody else drinks milk or eats cheese, or I'm making grilled cheese sandwiches or something. Like, I was just going through stuff, and my mom was like, listen, man, you don't got a job. You eating all the food. Like, you need to take a step back. And so that's kind of really what got me into like, I'm grown, I can get a job. And so like, it's funny around here because, I wasn't 16 to get my license. So I'm 6'7" on a scooter driving to this place here. It's an Italian place called News Italian Kitchen, and I was running out food to people, and I thought I was balling because I had a little side gig after school in between practices. So that I was able to help with the groceries a little bit.
So going back, like, I always feel like our guests give us these powerful messages when they come on, like where you said, like, you never know who's watching you. So you're a role model to somebody. And if with you growing up in a basketball house and your parents playing sports, did you know that you wanted to be a basketball player like immediately just from watching them?
Man, if you talk to my mom and you ask her like that question, like my mom will break down and cry, because like my mom would always be like, oh, if you want something in life, you kind of got to know where you're going or where you're from to know where you want to go in life. And you gotta, your goals and admirations got to be so outlandish, so big that when you tell somebody, they think you're crazy. And so I had like in a journal, man, I'm gonna be a star basketball player at Woodland Junior High. That was when I was a kid. I'm gonna be a star basketball player at Woodland Junior High, and I'm gonna win the regionals, and I'm gonna be the MVP, and I'm gonna go to Fayetteville High School and I'm gonna be the star basketball player, and I'm gonna go to college. I don't know where I'm going. It might be because I really like North Carolina at the time, and then I like Kansas because one of my mentors that I looked up to went to Kansas, Nick Bradford, and I kept on naming all these places. I was like, and I might go to Arkansas, but wherever I go, I'm gonna be good enough where I'm gonna go to the NBA, and I'm gonna buy you a house one day, and I'm gonna buy you a car, and y'all gonna be good. And I said this when I was like in elementary, and my mom was laughing like, dude, you just gotta make the use in the team. Like you got tryouts, make the team. Like pump your brakes. But I was just speaking in the fruition, like I had to believe in myself, and then watching my parents, like my dad played in the era where it was him, Sidney Moncrief, and Marvin Delph, and they considered those guys the triplets. And then of the 70s, and they had the triplets of the 90s was Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, and Big O, Oliver Miller, who played in the NBA. But being so young and naive, I didn't have VA, like around our house. We didn't watch VHSs of my dad and him playing. He, like, just to us, he was just dad. And so, like, being in the community and my dad shaking so many hands, and I remember you hitting the last second shot in 1978, and the last consolation game for third place against Notre Dame. And I'm like, yo, like, how do y'all remember this? I wasn't even born in 1978, and we used to think it was crazy because, like, all these people were coming up and they were like, yo, I remember the triplets. And I was like, I don't remember my Uncle Walter or my Uncle Jimmy like hooping like that. I don't remember. They was like, I just don't remember. Like, my Uncle Jimmy's a preacher. He never, he's big. He's like 6'9", 6'10", but he's never played anything physical in his life. He's the most tender-hearted, gentle giant that you ever be around, and he'll pray for you if he accidentally bumps into you. And he's a phenomenal man. So I'm like, bro, I don't remember them getting to it like that. But just seeing how my mom and my dad was moving in the community, and how my dad would be like, hey, it's important for us to, give back and donate, or having a coat drive, or having a food drive, or giving a free basketball camp, or giving scholarships to kids to come to basketball camp, and all this stuff he was doing in the community. I'm like, why are you doing all this stuff? And then my mom was like, like, this is what you do. Once you make it, you come back and show the people, hey man, there's a way, there's an out. Like you the pinnacle is not making it to the Arkansas Razorbacks, or making it to your junior high team or your high school team, or the sky's the limit is not making it to college. That there is something bigger than that, and once you make it, like, it's your duty to come back and give back to the community. So I knew at a young age, because my dad was doing it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I created my foundation in 2008, but in 2006 I started the Ronnie Brew Crew basketball camp. So that went on up until 2020 when COVID hit. So, like, that's something I did religiously, one of the biggest camps in Arkansas. And I think that inspired a lot of other basketball players in the state of Arkansas to give back and support their community. I mean, you can look at a ton of guys that from the state of Arkansas that are coming back and giving back and being positive role models in their community as well.
That's a beautiful thing. Now, you said you were like considering like North Carolina and Kansas.
Yeah.
What made you decide to stay in Arkansas? Was it like, I'm gonna put on for my city type of thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was some default stuff that happened too. So my dad played for the late Eddie Sutton here at Arkansas. So I considered Oklahoma State. Like, I was okay. Out of respect, I'm gonna go to visit Oklahoma State, Hall of Fame coach. And at the time they were really pumping. I mean, John Lucas ended up going there, the Grahams, Tony Allen, Ivan McFarland. You can go Victor Page. You can go on and on and on and on and on. Shane Gasson, about guys they had and the success they had. They actually got a guy from Arkansas, James Anderson, that is from Junction City, Arkansas, to go there. So I considered them. I would consider Oklahoma. Kelvin Sampson was a coach there. Respected him a lot while he was at Oklahoma. Respected him. I actually got to be on the same roster. He was an assistant coach for Houston Rockets now at Houston. Considered them. But I really was really high on Kansas. I really, really loved North Carolina, but at the time they weren't they were underachieving a little bit, and I was like, man, like I don't want to go out there and they're not good. Duke is beating them every year. And when I was thinking I was going to go to Kansas, Roy Williams took the North Carolina job. So instantly I'm like, oh yeah, it's match made in heaven. I'm for sure going to North Carolina. And they had a guy on their team in the same class as me, Rayshawn Terry. He's actually out from North Carolina. They only had one scholarship that year. And so, we were trying to figure out, they weren't going to take a scholarship because like, that's just not what you do. You don't take a guy's scholarship that's signed previously to the team, maybe with the previous coach, or, somebody who's going to commit there and they're from the state. And so I was just like, hey man, maybe this is a sign from God that this might not be the place. And then Nolan Richardson ended up getting replaced and they hired Stan Heath, and Arkansas was horrendous. I'm talking about they were terrible Stan Heath's first year. And they basically was like, hey, we're gonna recruit you harder than anybody in the country, and we're going to put our hands on you and try to mold and develop you and being the best basketball player you can to reach your full maximum potential to try to make it to the NBA. And I was like, well, everybody's telling me that. Well, they literally didn't miss anything. I mean, not an AU game. They came to the practices when they could. They came to the high school games that they could. They were, I mean, literally every time I played a game, they were there. And like around town, we had a place here that it was like it was kind of like the Max on Saved by the Bell, where all the cool people went to go eat it. And so like my whole crew and everybody would go to this particular eating place that's a block from our high school, and ironically they'd be their staff would be there eating and with the Razorback stuff on. And I was like, bro, y'all not slick, but it was just an interaction where they it was a bumping interaction, and it was kind of to the point where I had to bet on myself and I had to believe in myself, and I felt like I feel like I'm gonna put the work in and develop and get to the NBA. And if I am that invested in myself and I know my work ethic, because obviously I'm not the tallest, I'm not the strongest, the fastest, most athletic. I don't have the prettiest jump shot. I'm not the best at none of that stuff. But I bet on myself that nobody's got a bigger heart than me and nobody's going to outwork me. And so I felt like if I bet on myself, I could do that anywhere in the country. And what better place to do is right here at home in front of my friends and family at the University of Arkansas. So it ultimately became an easy decision.
Plus, I'm sure they gave you all the milk you wanted, right?
Yeah, man, they did. And it was, and literally their little pitch was like, I mean, there's not the restaurant was called Charlie's Chicken. And they're like, man, there's not Charlie's Chicken all over the world. There's only Charlie's Chicken. And they put the location. But it was kind of funny because Oklahoma State heard their pitch and they came back with the graphic like, well, there is a Charlie's Chicken at Oklahoma State. And so I did eat at Charlie's Chicken a lot because it's a really good restaurant, but it's not here anymore. But I did get a lot of milk just because I like drinking milk.
That made it count for your growth spurt.
For sure. And for whatever reason, it really helped my knees out. And so I'm like a person of habit. Like I was like, man, my knees were bothering me really bad. Started drinking a ton of milk. I grew a lot and it helped my knees. So I still do it.
I believe that. I mean, you said you're the only one that wasn't lactose and you're the only one that had the growth spurt. So
really, I mean, in all reality, I'm the tallest person in my family, so it worked, obviously.
So you got drafted to the Jazz, and then of course you went to the Bulls for a couple of years. You got to play under some really great coaches, Jerry Sloan and Tibbs, which I think they're both obviously great coaches, and they're known for like making sure their players are putting in their reps and working hard. How did you like playing under them? Were there any great stories about them that you could share? Or?
Yeah, man, I got a ton of stories with Coach Sloan and Tibbs. And I respect, rest in peace to Coach Sloan. And Tibbs is a phenomenal coach. I feel like he got slighted a little bit at Chicago because he probably should have got, back-to-back coaches of the years because the jobs he did back-to-back years. And I feel like they kind of ran him out of Chicago. But Tibbs and Coach Sloan, they both came from the era of like we're gonna, grit and grind, and we're gonna be tough nosed, and we're gonna outwork our opponent on the offensive end and defensive end, and defense wins championships. And they didn't really believe in load management. They didn't believe in like resting players, and like that stuff just went over their heads. And ultimately, like that kind of got them in positions where they are now. And obviously, Sloan's passed away, but he kind of stepped away. But I remember coming to Utah as a rookie, and everybody like whispering like, "Yo, like don't say too much to Coach Sloan. He doesn't really like rookies." And I'm like, I'm a talkative person. Like I'm gonna talk to my coach. I got to have a good player-coach relationship. And they were like, "Oh yeah, you got to be early, and you got to do this and this and this." And like, okay, cool. Like everything. Like I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. And our first meeting that we had, official team meeting, to get our handbook and go over like kind of the season outlook. The rookies, we got there 10-15 minutes early, and it's all these people in there, but there's no players. It's just me, Paul Millsap, and D Brown, the 3 rookies that got drafted that year. And we're sitting in the front row. I'm smiling like, I can't wait for him to look over. I'm like, "Hey, coach, how you doing? Ronnie Bro, I'm excited to be here. Whatever you need me to do, I'm here to do it." And dude literally is like talking to a group of people, and we're not like talking. We can hear him. He's like, "Man, I effing hate rookies. I don't think they deserve to be. I don't think they deserve to be in the NBA. I think they're prima donnas. I think that they should be in a developmental league because like they don't really know the true meaning of how to work, and they're entitled and all this stuff." And I was like, I'm like looking around like, bro, I can hear you. Like, and I'm like, everything he's saying, I'm like, I'm none of those things that you are saying. Like, I'm like, bro, I came from the mud. Like, I'm from Arkansas. Like, I'm a grinded no matter what. Like, so like you don't know me. Like, I'm gonna run through a wall because like it's not given. Like, it's not expected to come out of Arkansas and make it to the NBA. So when it does happen, like I'm gonna stay here. I'm not gonna be like a one-hit wonder. So like that first couple months was tough because I'm like, bro, like I led the SEC in scoring. Like I know I can get to it. Like I was top in the SEC, like top 3 in the SEC in steals. Rondo was up there with me. I was like, but I'm thinking this stuff is going to transition right into the league. Like, give me my chance. And he's like, and he sits me down one day and he's like, "Hey man, look at the roster." I'm looking at it. He was like, "Well, tell me something on there that's different." And I was like, I wasn't trying to be a smart aleck, but I was like, I can tell you 50 things. He was like, "Well, try it." I go, "The spelling of everybody's names is different. Each individual's first and last name is different. How many years guys have been in the NBA is different. Where they're from is different. What college they went to is different. What position they play are different. Their ethnicity is different." I was just going through, and he was like, okay. That's I don't want to hear that. Tell me about their playing styles. And I was like, I don't know. Like, okay, this guy plays really, really well. He's been an all-star. He makes this amount of money. This guy's an all-star. He makes this amount of money. This guy's kind of a mid-level guy. He makes this amount of money. Like, now when like he was like, "Okay, you're kind of getting close." I was like, "Well, coach, I don't really know what you want me to say. I gave you all these reasons of what was different on this roster." He goes, "Okay, I'm gonna break it down to you." He goes, "Give me Deron Williams' strengths and weaknesses." I told him his strengths, his weaknesses. Derek Fisher, Andre Kirilenko, Mehmet Okur, Carlos Boozer, Jaron Collins, Rafael Arujo, CJ Miles, myself, Paul Millsap, D Brown. Just kept on going. Then we ended up getting Ronnie Price. And he was like, we had Gordon Gierchek. And he was like, "The difference between everybody on this roster and you is you have the ability to be able to guard somebody and score the basketball. We don't have any two-way players. So if you want to get on the floor as a rookie, you got to go out there and be able to stop somebody." And I was like, well, I can stop somebody, but I can also score the basketball. I averaged 19 points a game in college. Like, that's what I'm about to do here. He's like, "We pay Booz this amount of money to score the basketball. We paid Mendo Kerr this amount of money to score the basketball. Matt Harpering to score the basketball. Darren Williams to score the basketball and set the table for others to score the basketball. None of the guys you named off, other than Andre Kirilenko, can really stop people. We need you to be our defensive stopper. And so I was like, okay. So that's kind of how I got my reputation of like being a defensive stopper, because I knew I had to stop the opposing team's best players or I wasn't going to be on the floor. And that transition to every stop that I made, and Coach Sloan Garner trusted me because he knew I was going to be in the right place in the right time all the time. He knew I worked at it because I watched film. I was a student of the game, and I was coachable. And when I went to the Bulls, you know, Tibbs is like your reputation precedes itself. Like, I know I can trust you. I know you're going to know the offense. I know you're going to make the right play all the time. I know you're going to be a guy that I don't need to call plays for, because you can move without the basketball and slash the baseline or cut the basketball or to the basket and rebound. But I know you're also a guy that can defend at a high level and get steals and give us extra possession. So, you know, Tibbs, I remember, you know, one game we won, and, you know, he cussed me out the next day because I wasn't on we watched film on the TV, and I wasn't on the helpline. I was I'm talking about maybe a shoe width apart off the helpline. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, dude. Like, they didn't score on the play, whatever, but he was like, you know, it's those small attention to details. That's the difference between winning and losing, and winning a championship and not winning a championship. He's like, I don't want you to have that feeling of I was a step too slow or took a shortcut, and have to live with yourself and your teammates of not doing everything right all the time. And that went for practice. And that's why Tibbs would always be like, I'd rather you practice than playing a game. I'd rather you sit out a game than practice, because you're iron sharpens iron, and you're molding your teammates, and you're practicing at a high level. And usually the game is a lot lower than how you're practicing. And that was his mentality. And he's pretty spot on with that. And I remember him saying, you know, on me about being on the helpline. And Adrian Griffin was our positional coach. You know, he was over kind of me and Luau, and then when we got Jimmy Butler, and, you know, when we had Rasul Butler, rest in peace, you know, we watched film with him and did all our positional stuff, and he was like, man, you're gonna get me fired because you're not on the helpline and all this like this. So and so a couple games later, you know, I was like, man, I'm not fit to be not on the helpline. And I ended up getting a steal. And, you know, as you know, our roster, I was far from a person that deserved to be player of the game. But Tibbs was like, you know, gave me the game ball and be player of the game because I got a steal being on the helpline, and helped us win the game. But you know, we had D Rose, who was MVP candidate. We had Carlos Boozer, who was a double machine. Luau Deng was an all-star. Joakim Noah was MVP candidate, and so many other guys on our roster. And to me, that stuck with me through my life and my career, because it's like, you know, you don't ever want to shortcut anything in life. You don't want to ever let your teammates down. And, you know, it's the same thing I'm telling our student athletes now is like, hey, well, you know, why not do everything right? Why not be there for your teammates? Why not go the extra mile for your teammates and hold them accountable? Because the feeling of winning and doing it the right way is a lot sweeter than taking a shortcut and losing and having that taste of defeat.
So with, you know, you said you had these great teammates and D Rose, the youngest MVP, like all this time in between the Jordan era, it was like dark days for the Bulls because we weren't that good. And then you guys start gelling, and it's really looking like we're going to win a championship. Did you guys have that belief that we're going to win this championship before D Rose went down with the ACL?
Yes. I mean, even when we lost in the conference finals, we were like, the only reason why we lost is because, the other guys were mature, a little bit more experienced. They've been in those situations a lot more than we had. And if the front office and the fans could be a little bit patient with this, we were going to get back and we weren't going to let the city down. Like, and to me, like, it meant so much for Derek to be in Chicago. Like, you could see it on his face. You could see it on his preparation. You could see how he was taking care of his body. You could see how he was in the weight room. We were seeing how he was getting up shots and how he was taking the approach of being the best guard in the NBA. And you got to look in the mirror in the locker room and be like, man, who am I not to match his intensity? And so, like, each and every guy on our team was like, man, I got to do my part. Like, if I just do my part, then I earned my contract and, I fulfilled, my role here. And so everybody had to be the greatest person they could be in their specific roles. And, it was just unfortunate because, D Rose going down, the front office had to make a decision, like, well, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to break the team up or, it was always rumblings of that. And so, the first thing was like, they were like, yo, like, we're going to put you in a trade, you and Kyle Korver. And I was like, yeah, I'd rather just pick the team I go to because it was going to be a trade with the Atlanta Hawks. And then, I saw the package that they were doing. And it was like, 50 people in the trade. I was like, Atlanta Hawks is going to be like, they're going to have to build a team and start from zero. But their front office did a great job. And, I wish, Gar and Pax would have believed in us a little bit more to keep the band together because, everybody was locked in, from the top guy in D Rose to the bottom guy, everybody was working at a high level. We thought as bench bomb members, we thought we were the best unit in the NBA. Like, we were like, hey, man, we might not have a star player, but as a group, there's not a better group coming off the bench than any team in the NBA. So we were locked in, to CJ, to myself, to John Lucas, to Taj Gibson, to Omer and Scal or Kyle. It didn't matter, who it was. We always try to. Our name was called. Go out there and do what we did and do it at a high level. So we really thought that, and not only did we kind of believe in ourselves, but like, we were kind of like believe, like the city was believing in this. Like, we would be at a restaurant or be at a gas station and people like, shopping, and hey man, I haven't been this locked in or this excited since Jordan was playing. And as a basketball player, like it's already kind of spooky. Like you're practicing back then, was practicing at the Berto Center, like where Jordan was playing, and in the same locker room, and you're like, oh dang crap, like Jordan, Scotty, and Dennis, and all these great Chicago Bulls guys walk these same locker rooms and halls, and it was the same training room, and like so it's and to hear fans say like, man, like this is the year, like we believe in you, like y'all are good enough to win a championship, and then have to come up a little short, and then the summer that we all had preparing for that next year, like we were so locked in, like there's no doubt in our mind that any obstacle that's thrown at us, we're going to overcome it and win. And then, for D Rose to go down, it was kind of like, crap, this is our engine, and we just couldn't recover. And then obviously they broke the team up. So it's unfortunate, but we all in our mindsets thought that we were going to win a championship, and the fans really, really did us a great service because they made us believe that we had the opportunity to win an NBA championship.
I think that's one thing that we appreciated watching you all play is that you mentioned like coming up short, but when I look at in everything in totality, I never thought about the Bulls as coming up short. And the reason why I say that is because it just seemed like every single time you all got on that floor, you guys gave everything. And, the effort that you all had, I was never looking at a game where I was like, man, they could have done this, they could have done that. You guys just poured every single amount of energy that you had into perfecting your role. Was that something that because you mentioned that you had like a lot of success coming out of college, but what were you expecting? Was there like a particular role that you were expecting to have in the NBA, or like did you have to? I know you mentioned with Coach Sloan and like listening to him, but what were your expectations for yourself coming out of college?
Well, coming out, I mean, you go to the rookie symposium and they tell you well the average NBA career lasts about 3 years, and so you're like, hold on a second, let me do the math on that. Like if I play 3 years, I'm 24 years old. Like I got a whole life to live, and so my mindset was just try to get to the second contract, carve your niche out, and like don't be entitled. It's so many horror stories where it's like, I had success in high school and college, and I deserve this. And what people don't understand, and what I used to get mad, and it was kind of funny because once I got to Chicago, like Brian Scalabrine was one of the funniest dudes that I've ever played with, because people just assume because he's white with red hair, oh man, this dude's trash. He sucks. Like he's washed. Like he ain't good at all. And I'm like if y'all know basketball, like dude was killing it. You like usually like he's 6'8", 6'9", can shoot threes, can handle the basketball, athletic enough to dunk. Like you watch the Celtics, like he was getting to it. Like he wasn't Paul Pierce or KG or Ray Allen, but like he was still productive in the NBA on a championship team. So it's like people, fans, and players who are not in the NBA just assume because you're not playing a lot, or you're trash, or you're not good. No, there are 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th men on rosters that are, All-Americans, former All-Americans, former MVPs of some conference that are really, really good at basketball. So for me, I just wanted to carve out a niche, and whatever it is, make it where I'm valuable anywhere. So offensively, you're going to have off nights where your shot's not falling. Are you one-dimensional where you can only shoot, and then if you're missing, you can't do anything else? Or can you be a Swiss Army knife where, okay, I'm going to rebound a little bit and score the ball a little bit. I can make plays for others and set the table for others. I can slash. I can cut on the baseline. I can defend. And, to me, defending, that takes no talent to defend. It's all about your heart and your nuts, basically. Like, am I going to have enough pride to sit down and guard this guy? And the same thing with like 50-50 basketballs, or like taking a charge. Like that's not a talent to take a charge. That's you being a man and pulling over, sliding over, and getting ran over, and getting your team an extra possession. That's winning basketball. That's diving on a loose ball when it's out there because it's nobody's possession, but that's you wanting it more than the next guy to get your team an extra possession to help you win a game. And the reason why we bought in is because so much with Tibbs is he takes no crap, no politics. He's not afraid to jump on the best player or the max contract. There's so many coaches in the NBA that tiptoe around the locker room in games because of the society and the reality of, if the franchise player doesn't like you and doesn't fool with you, they can get you out like that. And the front office, instead of taking a stand and being like, hey, we're siding with the coach, they side with the player because it's a player-driven league. So they'll rather get rid of the coach than get rid of the player, or tell the player to lock in or to listen and be coachable. But Tibbs got onto everybody. Didn't matter who it was. Didn't matter how much money you made. He was strictly about right and wrong on the basketball court. And so I think that's why so many guys on our team respected him, because he took no BS. And he'd get on boost for not, talking or showing on a screen or being lazy, not, cutting the guy off. He'd sub him out and put Taj in, like, or Joakim, you're not getting done, I'm gonna sub you out to put on Omer in. Like it wasn't like I'm gonna let Joakim continue to do something because he's our franchise center, or Booz to keep on doing something because he's our franchise power forward, or Luau to keep on doing something he's our franchise small forward, or D Rose to keep on doing something because he's our franchise point guard. Tibbs is like, hey man, get him out. He's not producing. He's not being productive. I'm gonna get him back in, but right now that's not what's helping us. And so that's really why the bench mob really flourished, because they're like, you know, Tibbs is like he's like a man of his word. Like, he's gonna play the people who's productive. If you're not cutting it, I'm gonna sub you out. And it's not saying I'm not gonna ever play you, but I'm gonna put the guys in that are gonna get effort and do the right thing and be coachable all the time. And I respected the crap out of it. You know, I didn't mind playing hard and taking a role that he wanted me to for the bigger goal, and that was to win and try to win a championship.
Yeah, I
That's
know
big.
we're as Bulls fans are going to be a little bit biased, but you said you guys felt like you were the best bench unit in the NBA, and to me, and I'm sure to Justin and Melissa as well, you guys were, and that's why you were given the name the Bench Mob. Like when you heard that that's what they were calling you guys, I'm sure Stacy probably came up with it. How did that make you feel to be like, oh, we're the Bench Mob? All right.
Because CJ Watson was the one, because he was like, we fit the mob on them then. We that's what we fit to do then. We fit the mob on them. And it's like, and so it kind of grew from him, because he was like, man, hey, we fit the mob on everybody. You know, I'm fit to bring it, Bruce fit to bring it, he fit to bring it, it's the next man up mentality. And obviously, Stacey King is one of the best there is in the game. Neil Funk is one of the best guys. Those guys made you feel like you earned the nickname. You know, and so every time you heard it, it kind of spread like wildfire. The fans bought into it. You know, Twitter was talking about it all the time. They came up with merchandise for it, T-shirts. And, you know, we kind of felt like, and with Tibbs is very, and his staff was very open. He'd say, hey, at this particular mark, get ready, because this is when you're getting subbed. I don't want any surprises that, oh shoot, I'm subbing in now. Like, it's like, hey, you know, at this particular mark, you're coming in to get Bogues. Like, you know, you're subbing in here. Or Taj, at this particular mark, you're going to get Booze. Now, I want you to come in there. I want y'all to be the Bash Brothers. I want y'all to block every shot in there. I want you to get every steal. I want you to play two-man game. I want you to play extremely hard. And so that's what our role was. Then CJ Watson would come in and was like, well, my goal is not to turn the ball over and not to let the other point guard get his rocks off, and give D Rose a break where he can catch his wings so he can come back in and be, you know, Houdini who he is, like, and play at a level that's, you know, different than what we'd seen at the particular time. And, you know, that's how everybody's mentality was, and that's the role we took. And you know, back then, that's when analytics first really was like out there. And so we were like, oh, okay, we're the number one team, the number one bench on offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. So then we started taking pride in, okay, we're only going to get really good shots. There's no BS. We're not throwing up any crap. We're going to execute, because a lot of teams don't like to play defense, and they'll break down, and we'll get the shot we want all the time. Then we're like, hey, Ronnie, you can press up a little bit more. CJ Watson, you can press up a little bit more. Hey, we're going to have to shade over a little bit for Kyle, help him a little bit, because there's going to guys be more quicker, more athletic. But we had Taj and Omer inside that, if you did blow by anybody, we had help. And so it made our confidence go skyrocket when we had guys that we knew were going to be our brother's keeper. Like, we knew, hey, man, if I make a mistake, you know, I'm not going to get, you know, talked crazy to, because it's not like I did something intentionally. It's because I'm playing extremely hard, and I might have made a mistake, but somebody's going to have my back and make up for my mistake. So it made those days really, really fun to play. The fans made it really fun, and it made a great atmosphere in United Center.
Speaking of that, like, chemistry is a huge part of any team success. And at the time, most of the bench they were all newer signings. And it was obvious that you guys had so much chemistry in the way you played. Like you were mentioning, if one person didn't get, you know, somebody back on defense, you had the other person. You just knew they were going to take their place. How do you think that all came together? Was it just like natural? Did you guys just gel, or was there like a concerted effort to?
I think we gelled, because, like, you know, when you're in the NBA, you like the people on your team, like the really, really, really good teams. Like, the reason why they're so good is because, like, they gel quicker, and it becomes more fluid and you really truly become family members because you're spending so much time with your teammates. And so when we had guys that were orchestrating, like going to the movies together, going to dinner, just hanging out, playing cards, anything. After the time that we spent, we would like. I used to laugh all the time when reporters are like, "Oh, Derrick Rose is quiet, shy, he doesn't talk," and it's like we get on the plane and we're laughing and joking and roasting each other and talking about people's accents and where they're from and how they dress, and it's all fun and games, and it became like a real like fraternity brotherhood for us because like there was never any beefs, there was never any like cliques where like, oh, I don't fool with him or I'm only hanging out with these people. It's like, if I was going out to eat, I'm messaging the group like, I'm supposed to go, get a pizza here. I'm supposed to go to, get chicken here at Harold's, or I'm supposed to go to all these other places like y'all trying to join. And it usually would be like, yeah, we visit the mob out. So that's kind of how it was. And it translated to basketball because, I had a, there was a picture that came out, and rest in peace, Kobe, but we played the Lakers and, Luau was guarding Kobe and we were up. D Rose had just hit a floater in LA to put us up, and we knew where the ball was going. We knew he was going to take the last shot. So we put a little bit of length on Kobe with Luau Ding, but we knew like everybody was going to shade over. I was going to shade over and help. Taj was going to shade over and help. Joe King, all these guys was going to pull in to make him a contested shot. And in the shot, Kobe shooting a fadeaway. He still almost made it, but it's five of us over there contesting the shot. And to say that is, I knew I could press up a little bit because if I got beat, I knew somebody had my back. And so like it translated basketball. And I think that's truly why not only our team was so good, but I think the teams that have success in the NBA, that's their mentality. And that's kind of the culture that they have in that organization.
So you're now working as the recruiting coordinator, you mentioned, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you are evaluating players, and I don't mean this to like, well, I'm just gonna say it. When you're evaluating players, is there a part of you that is like, can they do like some of the things that not only you could do as a player, but some of those traits that you might see that like might manifest itself into helping them go pro? Like, I don't want to ask is there's like a little bit of ego that goes into how you evaluate players, but at the same instance, like, are you looking for certain characteristics that you had as a player? One of them being, are you coachable? So, like, what are you looking for in a player when you're recruiting them?
So that's funny that you asked that. I found out super early because before I worked at Arkansas, I taught at Fayetteville High School, oral communication, and I coached basketball there. And I had to understand, like, and I coached EYBL basketball on the Nike circuit. And so first I had to say, and not to brag or anything like that, but like you have to be like very elite to make it to the NBA. Like, again, the idea of people like, oh man, like anybody can make it in the NBA. It's like you that's not true. Like it takes you have to be really, really good to make it to the NBA. And so for me, like when I'm evaluating, it's super simple. Like I look at character traits that any college would look at. Like, are they coachable? A lot of these scouts look at people like it. If you're having a good game or a bad game and you get subbed out, are you shaking the coach's hand? Are you shaking your teammate's hand? Are you going to the end of the bench, pouting and put a towel over your head? Like, to me, I'm like, hey, I don't. That's not our culture here. Like, we don't not shake hands. We don't acknowledge the coach. We don't acknowledge my teammates. We stand up because that's what I did in the NBA. And if I could do that, and I was making millions of dollars, you can do that, and you're just a kid, and you're trying to get a scholarship offer. So, if guys in the NBA are that happy for their team success, individual success, they're shaking their hands, they're running out during timeouts. If people who are making millions of dollars can do that, like who are you not to? And so like that part I think translates, but like you're not going to see many guys now when you get to some of the guys that are, 5-star guys or, really, really good, they have some traits that you're like, okay, that's going to be able to translate to the NBA, or, we can use him at X, Y, and Z. But for the most part, to me, it's really, really easy to be able to eval players. I mean, I freaking watched tape my whole entire life to know people's strengths and weaknesses and their tendencies and their ticks in the NBA. And so, to be able to locate that on a high school player, to me, it's kind of easy. To see how it's going to translate, to me, it's kind of easy. But it's also why I'm very relatable to a lot of kids, because they want to know what it takes to get to the NBA, and what they want to know what it takes to be a successful college basketball player. And not only myself can tell them that, but our staff at Arkansas with Eric Musselman, who was head coach at multiple places in the NBA, and Coach Smart was also a head coach in multiple places in the NBA. So it's just something that separates ourselves a little bit, but it's something that we can relate to kids about, and helps our recruiting out.
Very nice. So we wanted to transition into some of like the audience questions that they had for you.
Okay.
Before everybody asks anything, I had an Uber driver, and I told him that what we do here, like our podcast, and he had 2 specific questions that he wanted asked. So yeah. John, I'm asking this for you. The first question I think you kind of answered, because he was like, who's quicker to curse out a player? Would it have been Sloan or would it have been Tibbs? But you mentioned that your like first day, Coach Sloan like cursed you out. So yeah. I guess that kind of answered that question. But the second question he wanted to know was, does Coach Tibbs crack jokes?
Yeah. And to answer the first part, both those guys would really be quick to cuss you out regardless of the situation. If it's in the moment, I don't care what it is. And believe it or not, like I don't Tibbs and Coach Sloan doesn't mind like smack talking to the opponent. Like if you're talking smack, like and you say something to him, Coach Sloan and Tibbs they would talk back to you. I mean, I remember Jerry Stackhouse coming back to try to fight Coach Sloan, and I was like, whoa. Like, dude, super old. Like you're gonna get like blackballed from the NBA if you hit this old man. Which I was like, please don't hit me, because Jerry Stackhouse can fight. But I was like, man, please, like my coach didn't really mean it. But Tibbs is talk crap back to people. So I think that those are equally to cuss us out and equally quick to cuss the opposing team out if they're talking crap. In your second question, what was the second question again? About which part?
Does Tibbs tell jokes?
Oh yeah, Tibbs tells jokes. Yeah, so the thing with Tibbs, when I was playing for him, he was so adamant about letting us know how cool he was. We're like, dude, you're not that cool. And he'd be like, and it'd always be like when we were about to go play the Knicks or the Nets, and he'd be like, yeah, me and my crew to go eat at this place, and we might step out for a second. And we're like, your crew? Like, who's your crew? He's like, I mean, I'm gonna hang out with probably Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley and Charles Smith, and I'm like, bro, you don't hang out with them dudes, man. Them dudes don't hang out with you. And believe it or not, like there's a lot of dudes on the Knicks that really, really rock with Tibbs. A lot of dudes on the Celtics that really, really rock with Tibbs during his time there. A lot of dudes on the Rockets back then with Yao Ming and really, really rock with Tim. So it was a humbling experience when, like, we're in New York and we go down to the lobby, and I'll be, if David Falk and all those dudes are in the lobby waiting on Tibbs. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. So it'd be like, oh yeah, where y'all going to eat at? Like, we supposed to take over the town. Like y'all don't got nothing on us. Like, he always want to tell people, how cool he was and how I used to hoop in college. I'm like, bro, Tid, I know you wasn't hooping in college. I know you weren't doing, but like and it's crazy because like he'd be so hard on us in practice and expecting like greatness, and then as soon as practice is over with, he'd turn it off. If he went upstairs and was watching film, it was intense. But like if he was not doing anything basketball, he'd turn it off so fast, joke around. Shit. I'm like, bro, like, what?
So
it's
Tib,
crazy.
the name dropper.
So I liked the jokes. I thought it was pretty funny because it was a cool transition and dynamic from how strict he was to like, you know, what you saw on the TV and at games to who he really is as a person off the court.
That's a great insight. I always thought that Tibbs would be a person who carried a whistle with him to dinner, but it's nice to know that he is relatable like that. Derek and Melissa.
Getting to the questions, or someone pull up one from Instagram is V. She wanted to know, what was your favorite memory of your time on the Bulls?
My favorite moment, to be honest, was when Derrick Rose won the MVP. Just because, like if you saw how hard like he worked and how bad he wanted it, I don't think necessarily he wanted it for himself. I don't think he was like, oh, I'm doing this for the money, or I'm doing this to win the MVP. He was just like, you know, I'm doing it for the city. I'm doing it for the people. Like, why can't I not be the best basketball player? Like everyone, they're telling about everybody else. Like, why can't I not be from Chicago and be the best basketball player? Like, what is stopping me? Like, there's nothing stopping me from doing it. And literally, he outworked everybody. I feel like I'm a really hard worker. Like, I come in early, I do my work, get in the weight room, condition, I get up my shots, I watch film, and he's always a step up, practicing at a higher level, doing more. I'm like, okay, that's you know, it's probably why he's getting the numbers he's getting. But you know, to see him win MVP and what it meant to him, like he loved that moment and thought it was like a great moment. But like talking to him and hearing him say like, you know, this is cool. I wouldn't have got this without you guys, which I was like, yeah, right. Like you were doing all those moves by yourself. Like you were breaking these dudes down and finishing and catching lobs and all this like that. But he was like, bro, this is nothing. Like I'm appreciative of it because the hard work and dedication paid off, but I want to win for the city. And for me, I'm like, and my mindset was like, man, I couldn't imagine like, you know, and I'm just using my life, like being at the University of Arkansas and then winning the national championship, what it would mean to do it here in Arkansas. Like it like I was here when we won the national championship in '94, and then we were runner-up in '95. Like the greatest moment of my life, like that was phenomenal. I couldn't imagine doing it at the highest level in the NBA, like being in my hometown, having an opportunity to try to win a championship, and how much and how passionate he was to try to get one. And so to me, my best moment was when he won the MVP, because it meant like you had to have some really good team success to even be in the running, because as you know, sometimes those awards, it's a slippery slope because sometimes it's not actually the most valuable player. It might be the most valuable player on the best team. And, you know, we were number one in the East. So that was a huge moment for our team and for him because we all knew what it meant for him to win it.
Gotta love D Rose. Okay. Dale asked, what would you tell the Bulls' current roster to improve the team?
I would just tell them, you know, they've got a lot of young talent. One, they've got to stay healthy, take care of their bodies because injuries, you know, slowed them down a little bit last year. But, you know, play to their strengths, shy away from their weaknesses, and you have to move like an army on defense. You know, you can score 142 points, but if you give up 143 points, it doesn't mean anything. And so to me, you know, being on a tied to a string, moving it as one unit on the defensive end, because, you know, a lot of people think that the saying defense wins championships, that's, you know, old and overrated. But if you if you look at the Golden State Warriors, who to me is one of the top teams in the NBA right now, their offensive efficiency is always really, really high because they play the right way. They pass and share the basketball. They're a high assist to low turnover. They shoot a high percentage from the 3-point line. But if you look at their defense efficiency, they're always in the top 10. And so it translates like, yes, they are really good offensively, but they're even better defensively. So my only word of advice for them is, you know, stay locked in, you know, talk on defense, be early, loud, continuous, and, you know, play for each other, play for the city. And if you do that, and you won't regret how this year turns out.
Yeah, speaking of like staying healthy and with Lonzo Ball news, and you know he's always been having issues with his knees.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying milk helped your knees. Maybe we just need to tell Lonzo to drink a ton of milk.
Tell him you got to start drinking milk, some calcium supplements. You know, maybe get some PRP treatment on his knee. And I'm pretty sure the trainers they know exactly what they're doing. You know, sometimes you can't control injuries. That's just part of the game. But you know, I love the Bulls roster. I love their organization. They've always had throughout the years guys from Arkansas on their roster. If it's, you know, Pete Myers to Scottie Pippen, to, you know, myself, Bobby Portis, Daniel Gafford, different, you know, always giving guys from Arkansas opportunity. So, you know, I think the team this year has got a really good chance. And, you know, if they play hard, the city will fall in love with them.
Yeah, okay. Elite Bulls Nation asks, how good defensively would you and Alex Caruso be if you guys played in today's era with the Bulls?
I mean, pretty good. You know, I think that, you know, if you watched us during the bench mob days, you know, we were pretty locked in on the defensive end. You know, our offensive defensive efficiency was, you know, number one, if not top three, while we were there. And Caruso plays with a chip on his shoulder. He plays really, really hard. And I would have loved to play with him just because he's fearless, and he plays with reckless abandon. He's athletic. He's a great teammate for his teammates. And you know, guys can trust him and can rely on him. And so those are the type of guys I enjoy playing with. And you know, I think we could be very, very good defensively if we played together, no matter what era it was.
Chicago Bulls historian asks, where does Bulls Nation rank compared to other fan bases you played for? And do you know that you and your dad are the only father-son duo in Bulls history?
The only reason I know that last part is because when I signed, we did like a photo shoot and we did like a story about it. They basically was telling us all the father-son duos in NBA history. And so they were naming, you know, the Currys and Klay Thompson and John Lucas and Dunleavy's, and I mean the Wes Matthews, like they were just going on and on and on, and then they're like, you're the first. And so that's the reason I know this. But to me, you know, Bulls Nation ranks at the top by far. I played in some really, really good fan bases. I played in Utah. I played at OKC for a little bit. I played with the Memphis Grizzlies for a little bit. I played for the Houston Rockets. I played for the New York Knicks. None of those compare to how Bulls Nation was. Now I always tell this stories, like, you know, I played with the Knicks, but you know, we were the oldest team in NBA history, but we were really, really good. Jason Kidd, Raymond Felton, Amar'e Stoudemire, Sheeta Wallace, Kirk Thomas, Melo, Pablo Prigioni was the oldest rookie in NBA history. We had Chris Copeland, James Fight White. We had Steve Novak, all these guys. And we were I mean, it's kind of similar stories. Like they hadn't been good in so long, and then we played. We were like, first in the East, and we'd lose a game, and Melo would have 40, and they'd boo Melo and boo us, and we'd be the worst team in history. I'm like, man, dang, all y'all, y'all haven't been good. We're making y'all good. Like, what's going on here? And so, but I was just laughing because, like, it's kind of Bulls Nation. Bulls Nation's like, man, we're going to support the crap out of you, but if you're not coming with it, we're going to let y'all know. And that was all sports in Chicago. And I used to tease like, like, I mean, and it's crazy because we living in Chicago, like you would meet a lot of the Chicago Bears people, and people would like, oh man, boo the Bears, and I'm like, why are y'all booing them? Like they out there trying their hardest, like. But that's just like the city of Chicago is such a sports city. If it's the Sox or the Cubs or the Blackhawks or the Sky or the Bulls or the Bears, whatever it is, people are going to go out there and support. And I really appreciated that because once you play in the NBA, you travel, you realize that when you go to certain cities, like the NBA game might not be the most prioritized thing that night. I mean, there was times that we were playing in Miami that, the LeBron James era and D Wade and Chris Bosh, that it wasn't a sellout. And I'm like, well, you got 3 All-Stars on one team and Hall of Fame guys and like Ray Allen and great guys like Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller. And you don't want to sell that out. Like that's crazy. But then you go to Chicago and no matter who comes into town, it could be the Milwaukee Bucks. At the time, I know the Milwaukee Bucks is good now. I know they're good now. We used to smack Milwaukee Bucks all the time. Like all the time. All our fans used to go up. They used to be like, hey, it's the United Center North when we played in Milwaukee. But like, we had sellouts every game. They were cheering for us or they were encouraging us. And they were letting you know around the city. And to me, you couldn't ask anything more for the Bulls Nation and the support that we had. So I really appreciate it.
Bulls Nation definitely appreciated you guys and how you guys were playing for us. Chicago Bulls historian again that's a question. He wants to know, can you confirm your unconventional shooting form came from a broken arm when you were younger?
Yeah, I can confirm it. It's funny now because I'm now 37 and coaching and retired for a long time, and I feel like the story's played out, but I did have an injury. I broke my arm in 1995 at Arkansas Razorback back to school event at Beaver Lake. They used to throw an annual back to school with all the alumni basketball players. So my dad took me because obviously he's alumni of the school, and they had put soap on a slide, like on their swimming trunks, to go down the slide faster on the water slide, and it would shoot you halfway across the lake. And I was like, dude, I can swim good, but I'm not trying to get shot across the entire lake in the middle of the lake and have to swim back when I'm like 10 or 11 years old. So I was like, I just want to go down the slide regular. It's going to shoot me right where everybody's swimming at, and I can swim back because it's not in the middle. Well, a bunch of boys were doing it. And when I went down, I got pushed. And like I said, back then, I wasn't tall. I didn't weigh a lot. So I was like bouncing off the slide. I was hitting the humps. And so I tried to slow myself down by putting my arms on the slide. And I ended up getting a compound fracture where my bone came out my arm. And just kind of the way it healed, it made my arm kind of like double jointed and kind of, so like my arm like started out there like here. But when I shoot it, it's like a conventional, it finishes the right way, but it starts out like this. Usually they want you to tuck your elbows to shoot it and keep your elbow like locked. But mine started out here to shoot it. But I was always told it's not how it like starts, or not, it's not how it looks. It's kind of the end result. And so I just worked that in to try to make it consistent. And obviously it didn't look too bad because it got me to the NBA. So.
And we'll take one more question. Dan Soluk asks, how many Big Macs did you win for Bulls Nation?
Well, hey, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. We all took this super serious, and I know they're like, oh man, that's kind of corny. Y'all make millions of dollars. But when we used to land from our like road trips, we all lived out in like Northbrook, Deerfield area. There wasn't any restaurants open late. but McDonald's. And so I don't know if you've ever been to McDonald's out there in Deerfield, but I don't know if other McDonald's do this, but out there they were like very common and known for you pulling up and being like, "Oh, we're only taking cash, like cash only, like we're only taking cash." And it's like, okay, well, I don't have cash. I don't carry cash on me. I only carry like cards. Well, we're not taking cards, so we wouldn't be able to get any food. Like, and it wasn't just me. It was like a lot of my team was like, "Yo, make sure you carry cash, or you can't get food on the way to your crib because we get back sometimes 2, 3, 4 in the morning." So all the times we'd win, like if you had tickets, you got free Big Macs on the back of your ticket if you scored 100 points. So we were like, yo, we could bang out and get these 100 points. We could get these Big Macs. And it was like, and it's not only just for us, we doing it for the people. Like we doing it for the people. So, if you look back at the game, we were really like, we told Tibbs too, like, hey, Tibbs, don't be trying to slow the ball down. Quit trying to run like our 15 fist out, side pick and roll. Because, we fit to push it and we're going to get stops and lead the transition. Because we're trying to get 100 points to get all these free Big Macs for the fans and ourselves when we get off the road. So we got a lot of Big Macs. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Got a lot.
That's another reason why Bulls Nation appreciated you guys. It's always getting Big Macs.
We're always getting fed.
Right, Ronnie, we want to thank you again for coming on, and best of luck to you with the Razorback program.
Man, I really appreciate y'all having me on tonight. Only thing I could have to say, man, I think that I think the University of Arkansas has a really special team. We got a lot of young talent. So if y'all could just do one thing, man, try to follow us this year, because I think we're gonna do big things this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely will.
You want to tell the people where we can follow you and follow the team?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. It's Ronnie Brewer Jr., Ronnie Brewer Jr. 11, and just Arkansas men's basketball. You can follow our team on that on Instagram or Twitter. We're we're probably the most active Instagram and Twitter people in the country. Coach Musselman takes pride in that because he feels like, not only building his personal brand, but building our team brand and the university brand not only helps us while you're here at the University of Arkansas, but it helps you way down the line when your time is done at Arkansas, if it's in the NBA, overseas, or in corporate America, building your personal brand, your player profile. And so we're big on that. So, we have some pretty cool content if you ever want to check us out.
I do notice that, by the way, that there are always quotes coming out too on the chalkboard on the dry erase board. So that's really nice.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So I appreciate y'all, man. Anytime, let me know. I'll jump back on with you guys. I appreciate y'all time, and y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much
You
for
did the
your
same.
time.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Good night.
Appreciate it. Have a
Thank
good
Come
one.
on, Ronnie. Thank you for coming on.
All right, bye.
Bulls bench mob legend Ronnie Brewer.
Man, I kind of wanted to ask him for like more BTS stories. But now that he offered to come back on,
Yeah, we can always get him back on the ask.
I wanted to ask him too what he thought about Coach Sloan, if that was like more of a pushing the rookies' buttons and seeing what they're made of type thing, or did he really feel that way? Like, did he really hate rookies? I wanted to ask him that too, but we'll have part 2.
Definitely have a part 2. Yes, we'll wrap this show up here because tomorrow night we will be a special guest on Dan Solik, who asked the Big Mac question. Will be on his podcast, which is called Domestic Draft. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow, Bulls Nation. We're going to talk some Bulls with him. And until next time, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Then it's game over. The horn blows.